That's all I've got. It's too hot for this, man. Hello and welcome to FTTR. I am Ewan McQuaid, and today we are talking about the return of CM Punk to AEW. Now, yes, it is incredibly hot right here. I'm sticking to this chair. I'm sticking to my t-shirt. My hat is sticking to my forehead. It's not good. It's not good. It is so warm, so sweaty, but I want to talk about Punk because I'm late to the party talking about Punk and his return at Quake at the Lake. But yes, if you haven't seen AEW, CM Punk made his return, fended off the Jericho Appreciation Society following the Chris Jericho-Jon Moxley title match, and then he had a stare down with the champ himself, Jon Moxley. Now, they were putting over on commentary that the champ is back. Championships are probably both going to be on the line at All Out. It looks like the All Out main event will be CM Punk taking on Jon Moxley. Am I a fan of that? Yes, if done correctly, because I think the issue that AEW are going to find themselves in right now is Moxley is beloved, absolutely beloved by fans. His first run, I think we all agree, he was a bit shafted because of the pandemic. He didn't get the full exposure, and now he's got the run in front of fans, and it's been pretty great from top to bottom. It started off against Hiroshi Tanahashi, and there's been a lot of good stuff in there. Maybe ditch some of the JAS nonsense that's been going on, but it's been a pretty good reign for Mox. The match with Brody King was great, and there's been lots of sprinkles. The match with Jericho was great as well, so he's had a pretty good reign. So I think the issue they're going to get at All Out is a very, maybe not a split crowd, because of course it is in Chicago, but I think Mox is so beloved that it won't be quite as split as maybe you think it would be with a returning Punk facing, Jon Moxley. The big question surrounding this return is, of course, who wins? Who comes out as the undisputed AEW World Champion? And it's a tough question. I can see sort of both sides of the argument. Me personally, and this is where we're going to go into a little bit of fantasy booking about what I would do, how I think this should go. Me personally, I think the match everyone wants to see is CM Punk, Kenny Omega. I don't think that needs the championship on the line. I'm not that into a babyface champion Punk. Instead, I'm a lot more interested in heel Blackpool Combat Club champion Jon Moxley. And I think that is the direction AEW should go, because it's in Chicago. Everyone sort of assumes Punk's going to win. If you flip the script, maybe not cheat, maybe not have Moxley cheat, because that's not at all within his character. He just bloodies Punk. Maybe do a repeat spot, and I think that would be very interesting to do a repeat spot of sort of SummerSlam 2016, the Brock Lesnar Randy Orton spot. I think that would get an insane reaction. Mox stands tall after basically TKOing CM Punk in his hometown, and that's when you pull the trigger on a heel Blackpool Combat Club. Now, Punk can go off and do all the things we want to see. He can feud with Bryan Danielson. He can feud with Kenny Omega. He can feud with Adam Cole. I don't think we've seen that. He can feud with everyone. I don't think his feuds need the belt unless he's going up against MJF. That's the only feud I think that CM Punk should be in where it involves the title. CM Punk MJF 2 or 4? I can't remember how many matches they had. I think they had 2, didn't they? Dog Collar and the one in Chicago. He technically beat him twice in Chicago. I'm getting away from myself. But yeah, CM Punk doesn't need the belt. Moxley having the belt, and then just sort of, because it doesn't need to be a full turn. Essentially, the Blackpool Combat Club is a sort of heel act. We just find it really badass. They just beat the shit out of people. And I think turning that into a much darker, grittier, Fight Club-esque group where even like Wheeler Yuta is really on board with the turn. Maybe Danielson is a bit apprehensive, and I think the one person who sticks out like a sore thumb is Claudio, because Claudio, while being a part of the group, I think his sort of visual style, his attire, his music, his sort of happy-go-lucky attitude that we've seen from the Ring of Honor show and to an extent Blood and Guts in his debut, doesn't necessarily gel with the Blackpool Combat Club. So I think having him be the one who's not okay with the way the Combat Club is turning into this darker group, maybe being the split, and maybe even joining forces with Eddie Kingston against Blackpool Combat Club, I think that works. I think that works as a really cool heel faction at the top of the card of AEW, because we had the Elite when Kenny Omega was champion, but they were inherently goofy, let's say that, and it worked. I think Kenny Omega is probably my favourite world champion in AEW. I loved Le Champion Chris Jericho, but I think sort of the mad genius belt collector Kenny Omega is my favourite champion in AEW. And that was a very silly, goofy group, but having just like a really tough, oh my god, how are we going to get this belt away from Jon Moxley kind of reign, that is so much more exciting to me than babyface Punk being a fighting champion, which looked like what we were going to get when he won the belt off Hangman Page. It looked more like Hangman was going to be the one who turned than Punk. So that's the way I would personally go with that. In terms of getting the matches that we want from Punk and his return, I think the match with Mox will be great. I think babyface dynamic of Punk works great against the likes of Bryan Danielson. It'll work great against Kenny, who I don't know if he'll be coming back as a babyface or a heel, because the Bucks are sort of heel, but they're also sort of turned face in sort of Adam Cole realm. So maybe that'll be a face versus face match, but I can certainly picture Kenny playing the heel in that scenario. And the other matches, I just think that babyface run of Punk's doesn't need the belt. Heel Moxley as champion, I'm all for. Maybe I'm jumping the gun there with Blackpool Combat Club, but that's just how I feel. That is my pitch. I know this was supposed to be about CM Punk's return, but it's turned into a term Blackpool Combat Club heel sort of video. But yeah, that is what I would do in the wake of Punk's return. Let me know if you're on board with a heel Blackpool Combat Club and a babyface Punk without the belt. Let me know down in the comments below, and I will try and reply to every single one of you. Thank you all ever so much for your support, and have a nice day.